and we are going to talk some NBA stuff. Like I said, we're going to talk some Sixers, and we are definitely going to talk about the comments of Mr. Draymond Green, who surprisingly, to a few people, made some extremely valid points in his argument. So, getting into it, All-Star starters have been announced. LeBron James, Kevin Durant are the captains.
Right.
The pool of starters: Kyrie Irving, Bradley Beal, Giannis, Joel Embiid, Steph Curry, Luka Doncic, Kawhi Leonard, and Nikola Jokic. Those are the pool of starters.
Did he get snubbed?
We don't know yet.
Everybody keeps telling me he got snubbed.
Alternates or subs will be announced tomorrow. So we'll see what happens and who gets snubbed, if anybody gets snubbed this year. So, we talk about the NBA, and we are here. And here's where the tables turn. Like I mentioned earlier, I was here with the two 49ers fans.
Yes, sir.
And now, we got Frank here, and
Purple
Frank
and gold
is the sole Lakers fan in the building.
How many chips we got?
Today.
17.
Yeah, y'all got 17.
Yeah, where's the money at?
But let me ask you a question.
Oh, boy, we in trouble now. AD.
Let me ask you a question. No, I mean, this is a legit question.
What's
and
up?
I think, because somebody asked me this question the other day. And since I have a Lakers fan in front of me, I feel like I can ask this question. Do you think the Lakers can repeat without AD?
No. They're talking about that on the first tape today. We're not talking about that now.
Nah, ain't happening.
You know why? Even though, y'all know what I'm going to say, Kevin Durant come back and the Nets are playing better defense. You know what I mean? Like, make a long story short, no. Matter of fact, hell no.
Okay, but
With
the
AD?
The Nets still don't scare me, though.
No,
And I understand they playing better right now. They still
Here's the
don't
thing.
scare me.
I got them going in the finals. Put it this way.
Why?
To answer your question, no,
Why
we're
you got-
not. I'm
why
talking
you
about
got
far as
the
going back with the question about Anthony Davis and Lakers. We need anything. We don't have a healthy Anthony Davis. We're not going ball. Period.
Why?
LeBron, I don't care. Him and Tom Brady, they're different athletes and all. He's doing good, and he's gonna have to do more. And all. No, we're not going.
No, I mean,
We're not
basically
going.
y'all the Cleveland Cavaliers all over.
Yep.
Exactly.
When he was there before, I'm looking at the makeup of the team.
Yeah, I mean, I
Without
understand.
AD.
It's the same thing.
Because you know what's
Same
scary? Not to jump off the subject. Phoenix. They're scary. Utah. I don't care what Utah
Phoenix-
doing. They're
Phoenix
playing
is
good
good.
ball.
Phoenix is good.
Phoenix is putting up and doing
But
efficient. You know what
Why
I mean?
you got
Well,
why
they right
you
on
have
your
the
tail.
Nets going to the finals?
KD's a problem. KD and Harden, he needs to show me something in the playoffs. Everybody know that.
Well,
Kyrie
why
do
you
what
got
Kyrie
them-
do. He's a
Why do you
champion.
have
But
them going to the
if
finals?
KD comes back and they come in and them little role players though, it's a problem. It's a problem.
Okay,
If
but
you know basketball, y'all
what
ball know
happens-
basketball better than me.
what happens when the game slows down in the playoffs
That's when KD takes
and you
over.
gotta grind out and play defense?
Like I said, they gonna play better defense. They start off being
How?
the worst defense
They
ever.
got Steve Nash and Mike D'Antoni as an assistant coach.
They don't play defense. Mike
They've
D'Antoni
been
is
playing recently.
two times the
More
offense and
recently-
half the defense.
yeah,
He don't
more
play
recently-
Focus my attention.
I'll admit they've been playing a little bit better defense.
But I'm saying if, the word if. If they
But you
play
can't
better
say
defense. That's true. I'm with y'all. I'm not arguing
You
with y'all.
gotta look at I understand, but you have to look at what they're doing.
Right.
What they're doing is we're just gonna outscore you.
Yeah.
That's how they play. That's how
Somebody made a stat saying the last 20, 30 years, and it's come to y'all to give it to y'all like y'all win the argument. The last 20 years, the top 10, at least a top 10 defense that won a chip. Even with Golden State, much they were scoring points, they play defense.
they were able to.
Yeah.
That
This
was the
team is
difference.
starting to learn how to play defense.
Yeah.
All right.
You're
I mean,
right,
if their
right.
defense
That's
get
why
better,
I said they
If Kevin Durant come back
better.
and that team plays a little defense
But
and they stay healthy, no one's beating them 7 games.
Herein lies the other
Even on
problem.
my team.
Herein lies the other problem. And this is the same thing I said when all these super team, with all this super team nonsense started.
Right.
When LeBron James first went to Miami
Yeah, he started off
with
right.
Chris Bosh and going to play with Dwayne Wade.
Mm-hmm.
The only difference in this scenario is Dwayne Wade had a ring with Shaq, and then he got another one by himself before they got there.
I saw them games.
Okay.
True.
Dwayne Wade played the big brother and played the biggest role in that whole situation, where he deferred to LeBron.
He said, "It's your team here."
He deferred to LeBron.
Mm-hmm.
But I told people when they first got together that they were not going to win it in their first year.
Yeah, they got whipped. Wow, what, Dallas?
But herein lies the problem. Now you got 3 players on one team that have been closers where they've played prior.
True. You talking about Kyrie? You talking
I'm talking about Dwayne Wade was the closer before
I'm sorry,
they got
I'm
there.
sorry. Yeah.
Chris Bosh was the closer in Toronto.
Right.
And then LeBron was the alleged closer, or the stars. Let's go stars.
Cleveland.
For superstars in Cleveland.
Right.
But it's only one ball.
It's true. Everybody always says it's always
It's only one ball.
True.
But it's real.
It's true.
You know, and this is the same thing I say with the Nets right now. What are they going to do when the game slows down in the playoffs and they've got to grind out 14, 15 of that 24-second shot clock, 4 or 5 possessions in a row?
And listen, and everything is about ball control. Because I honestly look at that team, and when you look at possession-wise, you got 5 or 6 possessions where you got to defend and come back.
KD and Kyrie can defend. Harden, he don't play defense.
Well, here's the thing.
But that's
Like
only
the way you just brought up those
Only
3
three
stars from
Right,
those from those 2 different crews.
Right.
This three is a little different than the others, because even though Chris Bosh had Toronto, he was a defender by nature. He was a rebounder, shot blocker, and they ran an offense inside out.
Yeah,
that was the offense. But when you take, LeBron, who was already passive, he was a pass first guy anyway.
He came in the league.
So it was okay for D Wade to still be the guy.
The flag, yeah.
It was okay for him, and it was easy to do it. That first year they didn't win. That next year was when D Wade said, "Listen, you gonna have to turn it up a notch," and they won.
Yeah.
Right.
Turn the heat up.
They won a vacation.
The difference is these 3 dudes in Brooklyn. They all shoot the last shot. They've all had the ball in their hand. They're all ball dominant players.
They create their own shot. Yeah.
They all are ball dominant
real quick,
players, and they all 3 of them always got an advantage on whoever's on them.
Well, Harden, he's dishing balls off now.
Well, he's
creating more. He's
honestly,
showing me something.
He's not the problem.
Yeah, he's not the problem.
I'm gonna tell you
He
why.
has to show me something. I'm
Listen
gonna let
to
you
me.
talk. He has to show me
He
something.
leads the league in assists.
I know.
So he's not the problem. He's showing you that he's willing to take a hit. He was averaging 30-something last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's taking a hit on what his game specifically normally is to pull up, shoot, Okay, well, he's going back to his days in Arizona State,
Yeah. Okay.
where he was college,
He came off the bench.
where he was a point
In the early
guard.
days,
Yeah, I
a little
saw
bit of the
it.
early days in OKC.
Yeah.
when he
And-
played in
Right.
the second unit.
And what you see in this
6
dude
men on
is
the bench.
he is willing to defer
Right.
because he really wanted to try to win the championship.
Yeah, he hungry. He's hungry.
Problem
He's
is,
hungry.
the battle is going to be between Kyrie Irving.
KD.
Yeah, like
KD.
Dwayne, like you said.
Yeah, it's only one ball.
They both a dog. They
They
both
You
going.
know what?
Absolutely.
Could do experience come in? They both.
They
That's what I'm saying.
could.
They got rings. KD
No.
got 2.
It
What's he
could.
got?
It could come in.
Harden got to show me something.
He is showing you.
He's showing
I'm
you
talking about
now.
playoff time Harden. He has to show me.
But listen, the
Ball.
playoff Harden, you only know him one way.
Come on, real quick. Let's say they're playing.
You only know him one way.
Yeah, real quick.
As the number 1 guy.
Let's say.
Outside of OKC
Let's
when
say
he
the
was a
Western
6
Conference
man.
Finals. He playing against Phoenix, Game 6, and one of them came out because they was hurt or something. Real quick.
Right.
And Kyrie just the ball to him.
Uh-huh.
He has to show me he can not. He can do it on the record. See, he has to show me he can hit a winning 3 or 2 at the end of the game, the close.
He can do that.
And then
I
he
think can do
can.
that. He's a scorer.
Yeah, but I'm saying he has to show me in the playoffs though.
But
Harden
the
has to show me.
difference is he
Not
scores
like-
in volume.
Yeah.
He's not extremely efficient.
Right.
Like, perfect example. You look at, just real quick, JoJo had 50 points the other night.
Yeah.
Right?
Busting butt.
But his efficiency was off the charts.
Right.
I mean, he's the only player that had this stat line in the NBA since 73, 74. Since the 73, 74 season.
Years old.
Now, real quick, his stat line, he had 50 points and 17 rebounds.
Mm-hmm.
He also had 5 assists.
Yeah.
Which is pretty good for a big guy.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
field goal shooting, he was 17 of 26.
Free throws.
Free throws,
He always makes free throws.
he was 15 to 17.
He always makes free throws.
He shot 2 threes, he was 50% on threes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? He plays the other end of the floor as well. He only had 2 fouls.
Oh, he's a beast. Everybody know that.
And ended up with 4 blocks.
You think he should be an MVP this year? Or LeBron?
Yes, I think he should be MVP.
You think they're going to give it to
And then you look
LeBron?
on the other hand, you talk
never
about
know.
volume scorers like James Harden. Zach LaVine ended up with 30 points. But from the floor, field goals, he shot 9 of 28.
Right. Where the difference was, Joel Embiid only missed 9 shots out of 26.
We probably, hey, Dick, real quick, I don't want to get off the subject, but we'll talk about some other time, but I think they're going to give it to LeBron. You know why? Because AD can't stay healthy.
Can't.
And you know why? He going to have to do more. Oh, LeBron's doing more. And he was doing
You
more.
really can't. If you look at
No, I vote for Embiid.
if you look at
and
the
I'm a Lakers
resumes
fan.
and the way they playing right now,
Mm-hmm.
now yesterday's game against Toronto, it just looked like they weren't really into it.
Yeah.
Or Nick Nurse just came up with a different scheme
I didn't pick that
where
game.
Joel couldn't catch his rhythm early enough.
Right.
Okay, but the stuff that he's been doing up until yesterday's game,
He's killing him, man.
he's like averaging 20 points a half in the first half.
He'll get my vote.
Mm-hmm.
So, the girl
he's showing his dominance, and I think he should be the front runner right now for the MVP.
Listen, I look at the fact that LeBron's not even in the top 10 in scoring right now. He's out of the top 10 in scoring.
Right.
So with him being out of the top 10 in scoring,
Right.
Joel Embiid is number 2 in scoring.
Right.
But where does he sit in rebounds? Because in rebounds, Joel Embiid, he's at how many per game? At close to 12?
Close to 12 rebounds a game.
Right.
That's
30
that's
and
a lot
11.
of rebounds. That's a lot of rebounds.
How about assists?
That's a lot of, but the 12 rebounds
30,
is a
11,
lot
and
of
3.
rebounds for you averaging
I
30
think he
plus
might get
points.
snubbed.
30, 11, and 3. LeBron is averaging 25.
He's going to get snubbed. I see it all.
He's averaging 25, 7, 25, 8, and 7.
Do you know why?
I
Now,
don't think he's going to get snubbed.
You have guys.
No, I hope we don't. I'm a Lakers fan. I want Embiid to get it.
Don't get me wrong. What they're going to throw in the mix too is the fact that where do you place in your conference too? They've been using that as a barometer.
But they're leading the East though, so your argument.
And y'all second in the West.
Yeah, so
y'all got to drop at least 3 notches to me. Y'all got to be at least 5th or 6th.
Which ain't gonna happen.
It will happen if old boy stay hurt.
True. Probably maybe 3rd, maybe. Because there's a lot of good teams in the West.
All I'm saying is, what's happening in AD's body right now is something that can possibly be an ongoing thing.
Yeah, it's always been.
A tweak of an ankle takes him out the game, bro.
Yeah, true.
That's what happened to KD.
Oh,
It felt like a calf strain
And they lied.
because the tissue, connective tissue.
Yeah.
The next thing you know, it's Achilles.
Remember he came back and he in the locker room doing all that. Oh, look at it!
But he worked to get back, and when he got back, it's just like that.
I ain't gonna lie, I saw it coming. I'm not wishing them bad. I saw it coming.
So it's one of them things where I look at,
What's
you
up,
know,
Shane? My wife
when I
is
look
on.
at the whole ordeal
What's
of
up, Shane?
how they look at who's going to be MVP, it's kind of weird.
Right.
At times, it gets kind of weird because we know for a fact.
JoJo should get it, man.
No, we know for a fact that Kobe got snubbed 2 times when they gave it to
Absolutely.
Steve Nash.
Steve
Oh,
Nash.
no one will talk about it. I make me mad.
We already know that.
Yeah.
How many
And
times he got 2 straight years?
Steve Nash,
No, because Larry Bird got the record for 3 straight years.
Steve Nash got it twice.
Yeah. Oh, I'm about to say he ain't got the record like Larry Bird.
No. He
Bird
got it
got
twice.
3 straight.
But I mean, well deserving
Of
to
course.
some degree.
That boy
You know what I
back.
mean? Wasn't like I mean,
I hate to tell the Bird.
powers that be wanted him to get it anyway. But that's neither here nor there. What we
Right.
do know is what he produced on that court.
What's up,
He had
y'all?
he had a championship caliber team.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking at how it could pan out. And the only reason why I would say that they wouldn't give it to him is because he misses games.
Yep.
That would be the reason why
That's what I would say.
they wouldn't give it to him. If they're not
That's what
gonna give
I
it to him, they're gonna say,
I'll
Like I
add to
said,
that, ball.
in my opinion, I don't think the
Hey.
MVP of the league should end at the regular season.
What's up, man?
right,
True.
right,
Do the playoffs.
I think it should go straight through the playoffs.
yeah,
Nobody will do
Because-
that.
Because there always is a chance that you'll have someone that's a contender for the MVP in the regular season,
Right.
and somehow get bumped and not make the
How
playoffs.
about your team is not in?
That's what I said, get bumped and
Right,
not
okay.
make the playoffs.
Yeah.
yeah.
That's
I
why they
mean,
would never do that.
I think
Right.
that there's only been one Finals MVP that didn't win the chip. Do you know who it is?
Finals MVP.
Finals MVP.
He made
And
the
he was on a
finals?
losing team.
He was in the finals.
He was in the finals and his team lost.
Charles.
No.
Call.
Mm-mm.
Damn. I get one more.
Mhm.
3 strikes you out.
I give you a
He was
hint.
in the final.
I give you a hint. He was a Laker.
Kobe.
No. Jerry West.
Oh damn.
Jerry West was the only Finals MVP that was on the losing team.
Jerry, they-
He had been there 5 or 6 times.
wow.
But he
Boston-
did so
Boston
much in that
owned, man.
finals.
Yeah,
His numbers
Boston.
were so crazy in that
Boston.
finals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They had to give it to him.
Boston.
Yeah.
But his team lost.
One of the other things,
Which
where-
don't happen too
yeah,
much.
one of the other things where I think
You're funny.
Joel is and will have a great shot is the Morey factor and new coaching staff role in this whole situation. There has definitely been reports that Daryl Morey feels like there's another addition that needs to be made to the team. Me and Baldy talked about this last week, and you know I say, and what a lot of other people say, we need that veteran traditional point guard
I'm taking my wife.
to control some things late in games. The general media is allegedly saying that that's one of the things, and they also saying that they might need a stretch 4 or 5.
Right.
So a lot of rumors have come up. What's his name? Bellica, the guy from what's going on? Darren DeWitt.
AD.
Bellica, the guy from Bellica, the guy from Sacramento, is supposedly on their radar.
Mm-hmm.
I've also heard, as far as the point guard position, George Hill and DeLon Wright. Right now, George Hill is hurt, but I think George Hill could be a good piece to be that veteran point guard. I mean, hell, at one point I even said Isaiah Thomas, and he's showing that with the USA team right now. Him and ISO Joe are trying to make their claim to get back
trying to
into
make a
the
return
league.
to the NBA. Okay.
Yeah. But
Short.
I think the problem with this Sixers roster now and the makeup,
Yes,
or the way they say the way the NBA is set up, is a lot of teams have been asking or inquiring about pieces that are needed that have been a big part of this team's success currently.
Mm-hmm.
And the one thing I like about the marriage now, the new coaching staff and the front office, is the fact that Doc Rivers, the head coach, and Daryl Morey have a good personal and business relationship.
Right.
Because there are moves that, or questions that Daryl Morey had about some moves, possible moves, and out of respect because of the coach and their relationship, he ran them past Doc, and Doc has shot several of them down.
Right.
Which I think is a beautiful thing, because you now have a coach that knows what he has and knows what he wants to do,
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
knows how he wants to progress,
Right.
and he has the respect of his front office where they see that. unlike the Eagles and Howie Roseman. But I just had to throw that in there. But it's like we always say, people buy in. We've seen now that the players have bought in.
Right.
It's an understanding between coach and front office that, which I think is great.
Right.
And you have improvements of your big two. Okay, it's a slow process. It's going to be a slower process with Ben. But again, like I've been saying for the last week or so, I'm liking that he's getting better from the free throw line.
Right.
Which I said before when people was all talking about him wanting to get the three, shoot the three, and this and that, and I kept saying, no, he needs a mid range.
Right.
But if you have any type of basketball IQ,
right.
you understand that him getting better at the free throw line
helps that
is repetition,
to that
and it's going to build into him being comfortable with shooting that shot from that area.
And let's not forget, man, you had that conversation where we was talking, and I said, well, he may not be aggressive offensively because that's going to shine a light on his poor free throw shooting.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Because
lately,
he was not as good of a
lately
free throw
he's
shooter.
been,
but he's been hitting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He's been aggressive.
And that's just what was the other day when the Nets played the Lakers.
Mm-hmm.
Nets played the Lakers.
Right.
Brian was shooting his attack.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
He missed it. Kyrie walks over to the coach and said,
that's
"That's the
best
best free throw shooter y'all got." Because he knows he's on the team with this dude. Kyrie Irving was an 89% free throw shooter.
Yeah, because we do need a closer, like Jimmy, but I think right now our closer is Joel.
It is.
But I understand.
Buddy Hield would be good.
Yeah, but I understand what you mean when you say you need that closer. Because Joe attracts so much attention, and he continues to do what he does. But he attracts so much attention that you definitely need that definite threat on the perimeter. And that's not any discredit to Seth or Danny Green.
Seth Ball. You like Seth Ball?
It's no discredit to them because I love what both of them are doing. But I understand what you mean because when you say that. It's going to be hard,
Seth is good.
but it's going to have to be the right move for the right price, as we like to say. And I think there's a universal or a mutual understanding between Daryl Morey and Doc Rivers that we definitely know what we want, but we definitely have to prioritize the cost.
Mm-hmm. No doubt.
My wife, real quick, my wife said Embiid was the MVP. He got 70 free throws, 3 points away from Jordan. He is the next GOAT of basketball. She wanted to say that. If I didn't say that, she probably like, why you
she would whoop you, Frank.
Whoop
him, Sheena.
He's showing it and he's leading by example where he now has players on his team, his teammates, like Tobias Harris is saying, I'm going to tell my kids one day that I played with Joel Embiid.
You think he dropped 40, 50 every night?
No,
he don't need to. You think he can?
I think he could.
Yeah, I think he can.
Listen, man.
He need to be on the block. I kept telling him he needs to stay on the block.
Let's do easy math. This is why Tobias Harris got the money that he got.
She loved Tobias.
Let's do easy math. Tobias Harris averages 20 right now.
I thought it was more than 20.
Averages 20.
Okay, that's good.
Averages 20 points, right?
Mm-hmm.
4 quarters.
Right.
5, 5, 5, 5. Give me 5 points a quarter.
Yeah.
You got 20 at the end of the game.
5
So that's 2 layups and possibly going to the free throw line, making one and missing one.
True.
Right?
Right.
Basically 3 possessions. If I can give you 3 possessions and I score, I'm in the 20 to 24 point range.
Right.
Right?
Right.
If I can get you 6 points a quarter, I get you 24.
Right.
I get you 5 points a quarter, I get you 20.
Right.
This is what I can give you. To be aggressive, as Joel Embiid is, he can get 8, 9 a quarter.
Right.
It's clear he's doing it. He's giving you 20 and a half.
Right.
But the type of pressure that he puts on a defense sometimes doesn't allow him to get specific shots off because once that double team comes, he's already seeing it. He's doing a way better job of passing out that double team.
I know his triple doubles.
Well, normally he would try to force his way through that double team and turn the ball.
He's seen what the defense gives him.
That's also another reason, or another reason in that what Ball just said is the piggyback is part of the reason why he's facing up a lot of times during games.
Just so he can see it.
He's seeing
the double team.
Not so much the double team. He's reading the defense.
He's reading the whole
seeing
defense.
everything.
Like LeBron be doing.
He find
so
who's
if you notice, there are moments in games where he'll catch the ball almost at the 3-point line.
Yeah, he do.
But it's not an immediate shot as if Brett Brown was
that's the old JoJo. Yeah, I'm right. You're right there.
He's surveying
the whole court.
And then he might even, at times he's saying, look, move.
Then he bring the ball.
But when he makes his move, it's not always, I'm just going to dribble off you and shoot that when he can shoot it. He goes and he turns his back. But he turns his back and gets into the post.
Yeah, true.
And
that's what I wanted to do.
He's reading a lot more because sometimes it leads him into that turnaround jump shot. He can shoot that foul line extended. Or he's skilled enough at 7 foot where he can use his dribble and get into his shot. Whether it be a mid-range or whether it be going completely to the rack and laying it off and getting fouled.
And understand what we mean. You don't want to assume that people understand the details. You don't want to assume the details that what D just said that they understand that. Understand what face up means. I can be in the post, right? Face up means I'm in the post. The defender's on my hip. And when I get the ball, I now do this. I'm now facing the court.
Yeah, true.
So now I got an opportunity to either go here, give you a shoulder fake here, or see where the defense is shifting. Skip pass over top. I got a 3-point shoot over here. If that defense does like this, if that defense gives me a lane, which is what we call the flashlight lane, how a flashlight does like this. If that gives me a flashlight lane and I see this shooter, I'm able to get that ball there. Once that defense moves, there's another shooter in the corner. Bang, bang. It's a bang, bang play. Now I'm on the opposite side, right? This shooter's going to shoot. I'm now cutting in. The backside rebound.
Yes, sir.
He's a backside rebounder. He's 7'2", 290-something pounds. 9 times out of 10, he's going to get the rebound. He gets an easy and one or foul.
He do get
so that's the shifting of the game plan that works for us.
The other scary part is when he does that reverse pivot and faces up, he's a threat to shoot it.
He does it all the time.
To face up. And he's also a threat at 7 foot.
Hit a 3.
With enough handle to get completely to the
rim.
rim.
And to get any shot
to dribble into whatever shot he wants.
That's the reason. And the weirdest part about this dude is his touch around the basket.
Soft.
He literally.
Hakeem? You think it's like Hakeem?
And that's who he's reminiscent
why
of.
You think I like him?
Well, he's a more broader Hakeem Olajuwon. But the footwork. He's a soccer guy just like him.
Very similar.
Soccer guy just like him. Look at Hakeem Olajuwon's stat line.
Where they come? They come from.
His stat line's crazy, man.
The only difference,
his efficiency and all.
The only difference between him and the Dream right now, I would say, is his face-up ability. And it's no discredit to the Dream.
The spin-off.
But the Dream never had the full offensive skill set to face up from 12 to 13 foot.
And to his defense.
And dribble.
He had to.
But listen, hear me.
Well, not that. They didn't teach it to the big men in the 80s.
Right, and then dribble into any shot that he wants. But there's no
disrespect.
Kobe went to Hakeem.
It's because the way that, and this is why I say you can't, like when guys try to, that's what we always talk about when guys try to compare young guys to old guys. You can't take young guys and try to put them back in this era. You can't go backwards.
We should talk about that on our show.
No, but honestly, you can't go backwards. Because the evolution of the game, the evolution of how guys worked out, the evolution of the big man in terms of how they taught big men how to play is totally different.
It's different now.
But you can take a person in this era
and teach them
who were not taught a lot of that stuff, but inherit that stuff in their game, which made them special, and put them in this era.
Like,
Put Hakeem Olajuwon in this era.
oh, he'd kill it.
He'd
Murder.
do the same thing he was doing in the last era.
Murder.
More.
It'll be even worse because the physicality is lighter.
Yep.
He was
Just like-
already an
just like
80-some%
football.
free throw shooter.
Yep.
So I mean, you can't go backwards.
I
You
love
can't go
it.
back to the future. Can't do the back to the future.
That was my movie.
But what we can do is stay in the lines of how the game has evolved and which guys can you look at in our era and say, yo, they was ahead of their time. They can play now.
Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Mhm.
And normally it's the big men because the big men are obsolete now.
Right.
Right.
You can take all the big men and put them in this era.
Wow.
Because you look at the big men in this era now.
Sean Kemp and them.
You got 2-3 guys on them.
Hey, do you
Look
think
at
Sean
him.
Kemp
Yeah.
kill it? He'd probably kill it.
Most definitely.
Sean Kemp.
I just had a conversation with my man. We were saying
Sean Kemp's a problem.
who does Zion Williamson remind you of?
Charles Barkley.
And I said he could remind you of Charles Barkley because of his size and his
And the
athleticism.
way he jumps.
But
It's more
in
strong.
terms of
Chuck.
what he's really doing, he's more like a Sean Kemp type of guy.
Bigger Sean. Sean Kemp was tall.
But Sean Kemp was 6'10".
He's
Yeah.
more athletic.
He's more athletic.
He's more athletic. than
Yeah,
Sean
this
Kemp.
dude is like he's
But
weird, man. He's
the
like big.
athleticism is
Right.
ridiculous between the both of
You know
them.
why he lost weight?
And see,
He got lost
the
weight.
other thing with him is, and I say,
Mm-hmm.
and I say this with Zion,
Zion
no
get better,
no
man.
disrespect,
He stay healthy, that's all.
but the difference is going to be again if they make the playoff
Health.
when the game, not his health, when the game slows down
Oh, what are you gonna do?
and you got to grind it out
Mm-hmm.
against these defenses.
That half
With-
court is different, man.
with so much switching that goes on in the NBA
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
He may start out on maybe like a Tobias Harris if they playing the Sixers, then look up on a switch. You
So-
look up and it's JoJo,
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
True.
or you look up and it's a Seth Curry
Steph Curry problem.
or a Ben Simmons,
He's gonna be the key. Steph Curry.
or it's a Ben Simmons,
Mm-hmm.
and not taking nothing away from his athleticism,
Mm-hmm.
but Ben is 6'10",
He
Right.
can jump too.
quicker,
Yeah.
And he's agile.
and he's agile,
Defense.
And he
That's the
likes
thing.
to play
and he
defense.
likes to
Yeah.
play defense.
Everybody defense.
So, that being said, we have a unanimous conversation here. We all feel like JoJo should be MVP. So we are going to move along
Right back, fellas.
into the one topic that we brought to you guys that we felt, myself and Baldy felt was definitely a must. And in this topic, the focal point of this topic, I believe, was hitting on all cylinders in his comments. If you do not know what I'm referring to, I'm referring to press conference in the comments of Leslie Cuff. Thanks for tuning in. I am referring to the comments of one Draymond Green. In my opinion, the few people that I've talked to about this article, a lot of people have now gained a new respect or have different opinions of Draymond Green right now. So put it all in a nutshell. He basically went on a rant, if you will, and this is what they were calling it. And they're only calling that because he called the NBA out on their stuff. Referring to a game that they played against the Cleveland Cavaliers. And he mentioned the fact that he saw Andre Drummond out on the court in warm-ups. When the game started, Andre Drummond was in street clothes and on the bench due to the fact that the reports and rumors are out that the Cleveland Cavaliers may want to part ways with him. Basically, what Draymond Green said, and it's the comparison that we had way back when Dr. Jason Carthen was here, and he said they were going to protect the house, and he changed. He basically feels like the narrative needs to be changed, and a lot of his points were in regards to how the players in the NBA are being treated. He mentioned even himself in the mode where he said he talked about himself mentioning something about in reference to Devin Booker at the time when the Suns were not very good, that he should leave that team and have a chance to excel and progress his career. He was fined for that comment. He turned around and he said, but on the flip side, an NBA team can come out and say, oh, we're going to trade this player and he's not going to play until we facilitate or we find a move for him.
Mm-hmm.
So Draymond, in my opinion,
he was dead
hitting the
on.
nail right on the
He
head.
don't play no game. He speed his mom.
He also added in the fact that he talked about James Harden wanting a trade. He essentially dogged it, he said. And let me say, I quote, because when James Harden asked for a trade and essentially dogged it, no one's going to fight back that James was dogging it his last days in Houston. But he was castrated for wanting to go to a different team. Everybody destroyed that man. And yet, a team can come out and say, oh, we want to trade a guy, and then that guy has to go sit, and if he doesn't stay professional, then he's a cancer. And he's not good in someone's locker room.
Right.
And he's the issue. End quote.
I saw that interview.
Well, you know, Charles Barkley had his spin on what was being said too about.
Of course, you know Chuck do.
You
What
know,
did he say?
So apparently, he's referring to the Warriors currently occupying the eighth seed or whatever, and he explained that they're trying to protect their asset. They're going to trade him.
You talking Draymond?
No, he's talking about Andre Drummond.
Okay.
And he said they're doing what's best for them. If he gets hurt, you don't want a guy making $30 a year on your cap for the next 2 years.
Wow.
Which makes sense. You know, it makes perfect sense business wise. I understand from a player's perspective.
Right.
You know, you can't find me when I'm saying what you doing.
Right.
That's what you're doing. The only difference is I'm looking out for my brother as a player.
Yeah.
Right.
So these the establishment, we're the players. Yo, if I was you, I'd listen, I'd get out of there, Devin Booker.
Somebody said you doing him a favor.
I get out of there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because this is how players talk amongst each other.
Right.
Absolutely.
Listen, man, you might want to get up out of there, man.
Get a
Y'all
check
terrible over there. Da, 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 da. Okay, well you get fined. I get fined for telling you you should find some solace somewhere else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Where you can have a healthier career.
Yeah.
But then the league, the teams, find players for saying it's just a breach.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And the reality is, as we always say, the house going to protect the house.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You must
Naturally.
protect this house.
But there's going to be some sort of conversation when the Players Association and the league get around to having the same conversation about that, because guy, like he said, it does something to a guy mentally. He says mentally, when you come out and you see him warming up, and the next thing you know, game about to start, he in street clothes. Like, what does that do to a player mentally?
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I know he make you mad, wouldn't it?
He mentioned how people kind of sort of wanted to rip into Kyrie when he mentioned his mental status. He also mentioned the fact that at one point or at one time in his career, DeMarcus Cousins found out he was traded in a interview. It was an interview after an All-Star game.
Oh yeah.
And he found out he was traded. He said
It happened to Maurice Cheeks.
it happened. Yeah, he happened to
the
Harrison
airport.
Barnes, where Harrison Barnes was in uniform on the bench, was traded, and pulled off that bench.
That's embarrassing.
Hey, it happened to Theo Ratliff.
Happened to Theo
I
Ratliff.
remember
The
Theo
night
Ratliff.
that we traded him to get Mutombo, and they were literally sitting down eating.
Yep.
And it popped up on the TV of the restaurant that they was in.
Lost to the Lakers, but
That's kind of crazy.
But the point is,
But what kind of communication is that?
and that's what I think. That's what I think Draymond was getting at.
And that's exactly what he
Where-
was getting at.
It's
So it happens in every area, though.
but it's a difference. It has to be some kind of meeting point or some kind of understanding, because these guys talk.
Right.
These players talk.
And social media now too.
Not even so much social media. These dudes talk.
Right. Yeah. Call each other.
Yes,
know,
you heard
listen,
about X, Y,
There
Z?
was and
Don't go there.
And if you're a good reporter, you get it. There was a leaked story. I don't know if any of y'all saw this, but there was a leaked story after the Chicago Bulls game when Zach was talking to Joel Embiid, somebody got close enough and reported it where Joel said, allegedly said to Zach, yo, listen, you need to talk to your agent. We could use you here. But if that gets out to the media, to the mainstream,
that's what's it called.
Joel's going to be fine.
He's going to be fine.
Leslie Cuff says,
that's what it looks like.
I think that's a dumb fine because they're friends on and off the court. Yes, I agree. They should be able to give each other honest advice without being penalized. Absolutely. But
let's look at it, and I'm glad Leslie said that, but let's look at it from us being stockbrokers. As a stockbroker, I can't divulge information to you that's going to allow you to buy stocks at a lower end and be able to trade them at a higher end. That's inside trading. So that's how they look at players conversing about leaving a firm or leaving a team. This is, I'm inside trading. Now I get why they do it. You know what I mean? I get why they do it, but they don't make it right.
It's like she also said, she said they talk, exactly. They're friends on and off the court, they should be able to. Yeah, but the problem with that situation becomes the business side. Like we said, they want to protect the house.
The plantation.
One more time, devil's advocate. I just brought up the situation with Joel and Zach. Okay? Let's just say, by some freaky chance, something happens, and something gets worked out, and Zach LaVine ends up on the Sixers.
Oh my Lord!
Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying, folks, that they should trade for him.
All hell will break
now.
loose.
I'm just saying, devil's advocate again. What if that was to happen?
That'll be a problem.
Not so much there would be a problem.
It's going to be a fine.
It's going to be a fine because that one move.
It was mentioned.
That one move, as far as the NBA is concerned and business-wise, will totally change the landscape of the Chicago Bulls.
Oh, hell yeah.
Now, mind you, let's not forget that D-Wade, Carmelo Anthony, not Chris Bosh, LeBron James, during the Olympics, talked about linking up and being on a team together.
And the reason why we talked about that on the show one time.
But see, it wasn't during an NBA basketball game.
And
Carmelo, y'all know the story. Carmelo Anthony wouldn't take us some kind of money. That's
why
why
he wound up re-signing with the Nets.
Yeah, because he wanted more bread.
The other part to that situation I say with the Bulls is, and as far as the NBA is concerned, they're a major market for the NBA. And like I said, with that kind of move being made, it's going to change the entire landscape of the Chicago Bulls.
Oh, exactly. Absolutely.
So at some point,
blowing the building up.
At that point, it's gonna. At that point, it's gonna make a shift in the landscape of the NBA. But Draymond's point is, if the players say that, it's a problem. But the front office from Chicago can say, look, we want to talk to y'all about moving Zach. Or they could come right out and say, like I just made in the opening comment, opening news. The Houston Rockets put out, we're eventually going to part ways with DeMarcus Cousins because when Christian Wood comes back, we want to play younger and smaller. But as we see, nothing has happened.
What's up, Red?
If that had been DeMarcus Cousins saying, I'm not working out right here.
I'm gonna sit out.
I'm gonna sit out until we make a move. Same thing happened in Detroit. Detroit put out that Blake Griffin is no longer in their game planning until they facilitate a move for him. If Blake Griffin in turn says, well, it's not going how I planned it was going to go here, I'm not liking it, I'm not going to suit up and play until y'all move.
It's a problem. It'll be a problem.
Yeah, he always getting hurt too.
He is going to get fined. Depending on how long it takes, he's going to be forced to play.
And again, I hate to do this. But it's a plantation-based environment.
Absolutely.
You are the product.
Like
You're
NFL.
the product.
Like the NFL.
And just like a plantation, I purchased you for an amount. I expect this amount of work out of you. And at any given time, I can trade this buck Negro for 3 chickens overhead.
Yep.
I could trade this young Negro, and you give me a younger Negro.
True.
Or you know what? I'm just gonna go ahead and put this Negro out of commission. And that's, I hate to put it in that fashion because again,
very
these dudes literally they get paid. So there's a big difference. They get paid.
Right.
The only difference is on the plantation you didn't.
Yeah.
So this is the other
But its likeness to it
Right.
is amazing because you see it. You understand how these owners do dictate what you can say. You better not know how to read.
Right.
I kill you.
And just to piggyback what Baldy just brought
You know what
up.
I'm saying?
Right. And to piggyback what the point Baldy brought up, Draymond Green goes further and he says, I quote, "At some point as players, we need to be treated with the same respect and have the same rights that the team can have."
True. I agree.
As a player, you're the worst person in the world when you want a different situation. But a team can say they're trading you, and that man is to stay in shape, stay professional, and if not, his career is on the line.
Right.
And be prepared.
At some point, this league has to protect players from embarrassment like that. End quote.
And it's kind of crazy that they don't see it that way, because like he said, you there's an expectation on you even after you said something derogatory about me. I gotta remain professional. You're not professional and you're delivering.
Right.
So how am I supposed to remain professional when you had me warming up? I'm ready to rock and roll, and then we go back into the locker room and you tell me, you know what? Just go ahead and put your street clothes on. We're going to say it's a team decision.
It's a business.
It's a team's decision.
It's like the NFL.
Yeah, but it's a bad business.
Yeah.
It's bad business.
What you think the NFL is something?
But the question
like
is,
that?
who do they care?
Right.
They almost don't care.
They don't
almost
care because they control the dollar.
Exactly.
Right.
So
This is my narrative.
this is
The
my
narrative has to
brain.
be
Yeah.
changed. Yeah, it definitely has to be changed.
I mean, all teams don't do. A lot of teams don't do it that way. Harold Katz was one of them dudes. He did it that way.
You like Harold Katz?
No, he did it that way. That way, like he's out of here. Traded Maurice Cheeks, got rid of Moses Malone, got Jeff Rulin. Like he did all this old goofy
And
stuff.
He played 5 games.
And then turned around and sold the team for cash money.
Yeah.
Got the cash.
He did the same thing with the hockey team too.
And
Well,
got
that was
the
Snyder.
cash.
Ed Snyder.
Oh, Ed Snyder. I'm sorry.
But you gotta
But he
understand,
would've got
there's
cash.
a process with that much money involved in
You know why?
that kind of business.
Mhm.
There's a process.
They arrogant, man.
There's
You know,
no
those
way.
owners are arrogant,
There's
man.
no way that team should have been sold for a straight up briefcase full of cash.
You know, these owners are arrogant, man. Y'all know that.
Well,
They're
I
always
mean,
do
you
that.
got to remember too. At the end of the day,
I bought this team for certain amount
this
of money.
is my brand.
Yeah.
You're not
And
coming
they had
in my
upgrade.
property
Right.
telling me
What
how
the-
you gonna work for
They
me.
had the
Why you think Jerry Jones not jumping the subject? Got rid of
that's
Jimmy
why-
You know
Johnson.
what I'm saying?
He won 2
That's
chips
why
for
back
him.
in the day, when players got disgruntled and hinted towards wanting to be in a different situation, let's just say you're on a decent team or a winning team, they always got traded to a
To a
bad
terrible
team.
team.
Or a coach like Jimmy Johnson.
They always
To a
got
terrible
traded to a bad team.
Right.
Always.
You know why? I want him in this contract.
Because they not even that.
No,
Because
no.
they
We
control
want to make your life a
the
living
narrative.
hell. You want to leave here? We gonna make your life a living hell.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Send his
that's
ass to
what
the
Well,
court.
that's why.
And that's what
You know what
they
I'm saying?
did.
Yeah, I don't know why you did
Yeah.
a story
But-
about how playing my football,
Mhm.
how players these days pick and choose where they will go. LeBron
Well, I was
James.
just about to say
Back
that.
in the day, Charles Barkley and them couldn't do that.
Well, wait.
That's a difference.
I was just about to
No,
say
difference
that
in the
Right.
player
because
mentality.
it's funny you brought that up.
Right.
Because what happens is, in 1987, I want to say 87 or 87,
Mm-hmm.
Tom Chambers became the first unrestricted free agent under the new collective bargaining agreement.
Right.
So that changed everything
Right.
because now once you became unrestricted, you was free to go where you wanted to go. That's how Tom Chambers ended up
Right.
in Phoenix.
Yeah, back in the day.
And then Charles Barkley comes around late 1991, 92, 91.
Yeah.
No,
Right.
yeah,
Y'all got rid of
90,
him. What year
91,
y'all-
92.
Yeah.
He went to Houston. Was it Houston?
No,
No,
he
he
went to
went to
Phoenix,
Phoenix. Then he
but
went to-
he
yeah.
forced the trade.
Right.
And in his contract stipulated he was not being traded to a losing team.
Right. True.
That was part of his contractual
Right.
deal.
Right.
So that gave players a little control.
Yeah, a little
Now
more
we got a
power.
little more control. Players
Now,
Association
crazy.
start putting in the unrestricted free agents agreements and things of that nature.
Sure.
Now fast forward.
Right.
Fast forward 20 years later. 20 years later, you now have a thing called players option,
They got everything now.
right?
Yeah.
So now you get this bulk contract, and in this bulk contract, it shows where it cuts into your restricted free agent,
Yeah.
where that team decides if they want to maneuver you,
Right.
and then it becomes a players option if you want to stay there or not, right?
Wow, they like
And
that.
then it could be on the back end another team option. But normally when it becomes that player option,
It's either one.
The players usually
if
opt
there's another
Opt
year
out.
or two after that,
They got opt out.
then it's a
Opting out.
2-year deal
They
and it's an
opt out.
opt out clause.
Why do you think LeBron's so good? Example,
And so those opt out
Yeah.
clauses were
Yeah.
something that did not exist in the 90s.
KD did that. That's how he went to Washington, right?
what?
Well, but you talking
Oh,
about
he was just an unrestricted free
yeah,
agent.
but you talking about in this era now that these players are now understanding they more value. You got about what 87% black people in the league.
Right.
You better get them to say so.
Pretty much.
You know what I mean? And that's where we at now. So the tides have turned. There's
Yeah.
still some stuff that needs to be done
Right.
because at the end of the day, Michael Jordan's the only single black owner.
Yep.
You got 32 teams.
Billionaire.
32 teams.
Yeah.
So
Come on, bro.
all in all,
7.
Draymond, we have come to an agreement, was spot on.
He was spot on, definitely.
Yeah,
Spot
I
on.
love Draymond. They say he's
And
crazy.
He said a lot of crazy
It's
stuff
gonna
out of his
be-
mouth, but I agree with
It's
him.
going to be looked upon as something negative or in a negative light because it's an actual player
Right.
I'm about
Who
saying
said
who
it?
it's coming from.
and who that particular player was,
Mm-hmm.
which is going to cause the rift or whatever if
If you
you
get
will.
techno foul, so what?
But spot on, in my opinion.
He good.
It needs to change, and like he said, he's just asking for the players to be respected
Mm-hmm.
in their own right, because it really makes no sense for, like we just mentioned, a team to say, well, we're not gonna play you tonight. We looking for a way to move you, so you just put your street clothes on and just sit on the bench.
That ain't fair.
Player goes in the locker room and he says, well, trying to move, but I'm not gonna play tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Now, like he said with the James Harden thing, now that player is a cancer.
The
Mhm.
locker room.
He's a bad locker room guy. Where the major conglomerate can pretty much say, oh, we gonna trade you, so we ain't gonna play. Like Boy said, protecting your assets.
Yeah, basically.
And I see nothing wrong with the player protecting himself,
Right. That's what he was playing
which I
with the
think
option. Yeah.
they should be allowed to do.
Yeah.
Protect themselves, which they are really not.
Real quick, is that a 5-year? Is that a 5-year contract or 3-year contract?
Wait.
Don't matter.
I just read this quote from Charles Barkley. Listen, yo,
Chuck
you know
crazy.
he's the most crazy.
It's crazy.
This joker said,
Love Charles Barkley.
talk about Draymond Green and himself. I don't know if you read this, D. I don't even know when this came out. But he said, I think there's a difference. He's on a really good team. I guess this one they was good. He said, but I was a great player. He said, there's a double standard on that. When you're a great player, you can do and say what you want to do.
Right.
When you're on a good team,
There's a difference.
you can do what you say, what you want to do, but you're in last place. You're in last place.
Yeah.
You have to stand down. He hasn't learned that yet. When you're a piece of a puzzle and not the main
Yeah,
ingredient,
he gonna piss him off. They was on the show.
who's gonna listen to you?
He's right. He's right.
But when you're a great player,
Jordan,
you
Bird,
get the ear of
Magic.
those who
Right.
really want to
Real
listen.
quick, Magic
Right.
Johnson got who fired? He got that.
Hey, but
when
it's
he
not,
came
about,
in.
it's not about getting them
Yeah, but
fired.
I'm saying
It's
like,
about,
but as far as power, I have a say.
Well, because
well, you
you
don't really have a say. You just have their ear.
got their
Which
ear,
means
Who you
they'll
gonna get
listen.
rid of?
and they
You
and
get
they
rid
may
of-
be willing to listen.
Yeah.
You get rid of your main star player or the coach?
Well, that's a different issue.
Yeah, yeah.
The difference is, like he said,
Right.
if I'm a
Honestly,
star,
Right.
To be quite honest,
they'll
Players
listen to
gonna
me
I
faster
can
than they'll
honestly
listen to
tell
somebody
you
else.
They said the star player.
that there
gonna
are some coaches
play. Yeah.
who could say some things in the league, listen,
Right.
but not many.
Right.
Yeah, but I'm saying the star player gonna stay.
Those
The
players
owner's gonna get rid of him.
have so much. at the end of the day, as great as good of a
Who
coach
you
Phil
think?
Jackson
Yeah.
was, let's be clear.
Right.
Let's be clear. Michael Jordan, Shaq, and Kobe made the league billions, not Phil Jackson.
Not with
Yeah,
that.
true.
Absolutely.
So who you think they gonna listen to?
Yeah.
Listen to them.
Who-
Leslie-
You gonna
Leslie
listen to the
also
guy that
said-
you
Real
done
quick,
gave
I do you
$200
one
million
better.
to?
I do you one better. Who the fans come see? Not Phil Jackson.
Leslie said
Ain't
she
nobody
agrees-
come to see you, Otis.
She agrees. She also says that the players should have a choice in the trade
Come on, Randy, talk, man.
because it helps negotiate their paycheck.
Just don't look at everybody.
Absolutely.
And they do
Sorry,
Yeah,
Randy.
they do have a smart
during negotiation
during
time.
negotiations.
That's
it.
about it.
So if there are things that they're not able to do, got to go back to the negotiation
Right.
table and see what it was that they said we're gonna put on the shelf.
Right.
Because there are things that they put on the shelf and said we'll revisit. That's not really something that we
Right.
want to deal with. But
And-
now
and-
this might be it.
Yeah,
Right,
and
right.
just slightly turning the train a little bit back to what I said about the Carson Wentz thing.
Right.
In that trade, they made a trade. The picks are what they are.
Mhm.
But then, if he plays 75%,
Mm-hmm.
that one pick can turn
Right.
into a first round pick.
Right.
If he plays 70% and they make the playoffs, then they end up with 2 first round
So you
picks.
pulling for him to stay healthy.
I'm not pulling for him to stay healthy.
Right.
What I'm saying is,
Look at the negotiation of the
look at the
contract.
negotiation.
Yeah.
There's
of the
it's
deal.
incentive
I
based.
think it's gonna be 50-50 in the beginning.
Well, it's
But look at the
incentive based.
negotiation
Right.
of the deal.
There's no clear cut
It's
deal.
a win-win
yeah,
for the Colts.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, the Colts. I think the Colts gonna win the
Because
whole thing anyway.
they got a quarterback that
I
they
was about to
allegedly
say.
wanted.
Yeah.
They got who they
And
want.
Yeah.
they got the
Yeah,
power.
everything else is the roll of the
Now
dice.
they got control over how those picks are conveyed.
So they got over y'all, huh?
They can
Of
do a
course they
Sam Hinkie. They can.
So really, y'all
They can let the
rebuild-
bottom
y'all-
fall
y'all
out.
rebuilding again.
I mean, I'm not gonna say that they rebuilding,
But the thing is,
but
y'all
there's
just-
a lot of holes.
If
that
the
need to
Eagles
be
are
filled.
if the Eagles are a 6-story building, I think they're on the 4th floor right
You know
now.
why? Because
I don't think they're.
I don't think they're
I don't think
rebuilding.
they're
The
at the.
division.
It's a lot of holes.
Not even that.
But it's just a
I'm
lot of
talking about them
holes
as a
that need
structured
to be
Let
filled.
them in the West.
As a structured
Oh,
team,
God.
as a structured team,
Mm-hmm. Sorry.
the Eagles, if they were a 6-story building structured
He said
team,
it was 4th floor.
they're not on the 2nd floor.
Right.
I would say they're on the
Third or
4th
fourth
floor.
floor. Right.
They're in between the
They're
3rd
not
and
that
4th
far,
floor
okay.
because you got a coach, you got somewhat of a quarterback, you still got some defensive components. They just got to add some
Y'all
stuff to get
defense-
up to that 4th
Y'all
floor.
defense are going to
It's
keep y'all
like
on the floor.
it's like you cooking that pot of gumbo.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, I got
you
to
better
got
put
this
that
in,
slap your
You
mama
got this
seasoning in
in.
there.
It's coming together, but
Getting there.
it's coming together, but just not quite right.
That season's
What
not
else?
good.
What else do we need to add in
Exactly.
to get it close
Something-
where
to
you
where
got
we
Tasting
want?
the
Yeah,
soup.
It's something
Something-
missing.
something
It's
missing.
something
I know
missing.
y'all cook, y'all taste right out
Yeah,
there.
Wait,
I know I do.
When you say waiter,
Waiter.
taste the soup.
Yeah,
He
taste
said,
the soup.
Do you do that?
What do you mean?
As you going on, I taste mine.
You
When you
have
say I'm
to.
coming to America, where's the spoon? Aha,
You have to.
aha.
Part 2 coming out.
Absolutely.
You don't have the spoon.
That being said, wraps up another
Aha.
fine episode
I'll
of
be back next
the
week.
Sports
Come
Rap
back
Podcast.
next week.
The guys will
I
be
ain't
back
been
with
in
you
a
next
while,
week.
man.
Yes,
It's
sir.
a pleasure, man.
Thanks for everybody that tuned in, everybody that commented.
Michelle,
we
Brandy,
appreciate all of your comments and
Shannon, my
everything
baby.
like that. Signing out,
Yes, sir.
it's your boy, Sports Rap D. You know where to find me.
See y'all next week.
Instagram and Twitter at SportsRap_D. You get me in the group Sports Rap Podcast on Facebook, the webpage, YouTube, Sports Rap TV. Podcast will go up on iHeartRadio and most of your podcast outlets. Baldy.
Once again, a pleasure here with my brothers. You can get with me at Ball75 on Instagram, Aaron Baldy Moore on Facebook. Make sure y'all check out Sports Rap Podcast and y'all can watch it again and again and again and
Absolutely.
again. Frank,
You can hit me up on Facebook. First of all, I want to say before I get on that, it's a pleasure coming back, man. My guys, man.
Absolutely.
It took a while
what's that?
dealing with this pandemic. So I'm here real quick, so we gotta go. You hit me up on Facebook, IG 2418. That's about it.
All right.
All right, folks, there you have it. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Real quick before we go, we got one last comment from Leslie Cup. She says, right, but some of the teams that are on the losing side may offer more, and depending on the player, they may feel their skills may be able to help that team.
Okay,
Maybe even turn them around. and they may take that deal for that reason.
Well, she know a little
Great
something.
points, great points.
She
Thank
too
you
hard.
all for tuning in.
Yes, sir.
We will see you next Monday
I will.
at our regular time, 11 a.m.
Mhm.
to 1 p.m.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for tuning in, folks. We appreciate the support, and we will continue to bring you all of this great sports dialogue as we do.
Hey, boy, you know I do my games, right? I bet on my games at that casino. I'm in the betting business now.
You in the betting business?
I won $1,300 week 2. 13. I got paid that week. That's